Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of April 8th this time around. This is eclipse day for those of you in North America. So we know, we talked about this last week. That means the moon is new. The moon is directly between the Earth and the sun, and thus it can make this eclipse happen. And so we looked at that last week. With a new moon, what that means is that it's a good dark sky to start the week and still a pretty dark sky by the end of the week. So thinking about the stuff that we looked at last week a little bit. So first of all, the moon. I'll start to fill out. So Jupiter, let's actually start there. Jupiter and Uranus start the week just over 2 degrees apart, and they're only 1 degree apart, just over 1 degree apart by the end of the week. So very, very easy it should be to take a pair of binoculars and find Uranus as the object that's close by the moon right there. On the evening of the 10th, the moon will be right next to that. So you got Jupiter, Uranus, and the moon right there together. The moon's only 7% full. 7% full moons are a little bit hard to see. A very thin crescent moon, and it tells you just how close these planets are getting to the sun. And so we're about to lose them in the evening sky. You get out just after dark and check this out. Use the moon on the 10th. If it's clear on the 10th, it's going to be great to see. Find Jupiter and the moon, very thin crescent moon, beautiful there together. See it if the sky, you got to catch this just as the sky gets dark enough to see it, and before these things set behind the sun, which they'll do very quickly. So you got a little window there, a half an hour or something. You can get out and see if you can find Uranus next to Jupiter. By a couple of nights later, the moon will be over next to the Pleiades. One night later, the moon will have filled out to about 15% full, and it'll sit about 5 degrees away from the Pleiades star cluster. The Pleiades is an open star cluster that you can see with the naked eye. Looks good in binoculars, so that'll be a fine view to watch the thin crescent moon next to the Pleiades. But let's take advantage of this dark sky where we don't have much moon here as the week wears on, and let's look at Cancer and Leo. And so these are up in the sky as it gets dark. You look a little bit east of the meridian, so you'll see these rising into the sky. And Cancer is an amazing group of pretty faint stars. So what Cancer is, you see, you've got Iota. Iota is up here as a 4th magnitude star. You can see it, but you need a pretty dark sky. If you're living in a city someplace, you might have a hard time seeing any of these stars. Acellus Australis is also about a 4th magnitude star. Acubens is a 4.3 magnitude star. Zeta over here is a 4.7 magnitude star. So it looks like this. You've got that kind of tetrahedron, or that kind of shape there of a group of 4th magnitude stars. Zeta we've talked about once or twice before. Really interesting multiple star system. You got 2 stars that are really close to each other. You got a good telescope. See if you can pull them apart. Only maybe an arc second separates them. So you're not going to get clean space between them, but you might be able to see it lobed. You might be able to see that there's 2 stars there. But there's another star orbiting around that system, and that star is part of a binary system. We don't see the companion, and it's about 6 arc seconds out. So you got a star that's about 6 arc seconds out. So you got to see a nice clean binary system and see if you can see one of those stars as double lobed. If you've got if you got a little bit of a telescope, any backyard telescope ought to work for that. So Zeta's great to try that out. M44 is the Beehive cluster, is right here. M44 is a beautiful, magnificent star cluster. It again is an object you can see with your naked eye under a good dark sky. In binoculars, it's just going to explode into a group of stars. So it's a big, sprawling, open star cluster. See if you can find it without any optical aid. Use your binoculars. Find this group of 1, 2, 3, 4 4th magnitude stars. That was about 5th magnitude. In Cancer, you got a telescope. See if you can find Zeta. You got binoculars. Check out M44, but you can see that without binoculars. M67, you're probably going to need another open star cluster, old open star cluster. And so open star clusters come in all ages, right? They're different from globular star clusters that are uniformly old. Open star clusters range from very, very young. They've just collapsed out of a cloud of gas, and we can barely see them through that cloud of gas that they've collapsed out of, to very, very old, where a lot of the stars have evolved away. The higher mass stars, you've only got low mass stars that are less bright in there, and that's where M67 is. Very old cluster. It's just to the west of Acubens down here. Binoculars ought to pull it out for you. If you got a telescope, this one will hold. This one won't hold up to a telescope. Telescope's not going to do you much good there. It'll do you some good here. So you might be able to see it with a nice wide eyepiece. You might be able to check that out. Now, following Cancer into the sky is Leo. We look at Leo all the time. So we'll go through this relatively quickly. Bright star Regulus. The brightest star right there is at the base of the sickle. We move up to Eta and over to Algeba, and then on around Algeba is Gamma star in Leo. And the Gamma star is a beautiful binary star system. So you got your telescope out, checking out Zeta, the binary star system. Let's come over here and check out Gamma Leonis and have a nice binary star system there to check out as well. And so that's the head of Leo, is this backward question mark, this sickle shape. We move up this direction, and we've got Data Bola back over here, and the triangle for the tail that is the triangle for the tail that is Leo. Data Bola, of course, will translate. Deneb means the tail. So this is the tail of the lion that we're seeing back here in nice bright. Those are the two brightest stars. All these stars are a lot brighter than the stars in Cancer. Every star that we have shown on here pops out relative to Cancer. You can see the sickle shape of Leo. You can see the triangle tail of Leo well compared to Cancer. Now, we've got two stars marked here that look like the stars in Cancer, fourth magnitude stars. Rho is actually a little bit brighter than the stars in Cancer, and Iota is among the brightest of the stars in Cancer. It's right there. And so what we can do here is we can say, okay, if we drop a line from the star here at the base of the triangle down toward Rho, what we get is we go down two-thirds of the way down, and just above that line, you're going to have three galaxies. M96, M95, and M105 are going to be the galaxies that are in there, and they're all about half a degree apart. So if you have a big wide field eyepiece in a telescope, and that's a good thing to look for galaxies in, you might be able to scan around and get all three of these galaxies in a single field of view. Now, if we go this direction, the other direction toward Iota, and now these will be the brightest stars down here below the main shape of Leo, the main asterism, almost right on that line that we drop down through here, M65 and M66, another galaxy pair. So these are big galaxies. These are galaxies like the Milky Way galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars in them, but they look like smudges of light. These are only a third of a degree apart from each other, so I'm sure you can get those in a single field eyepiece, a single eyepiece field of view. And so, in fact, we do that regularly around here. So you see M65 and M66. There's a third galaxy, a little bit fainter galaxy in that grouping as well. But see if you can follow this line down to Rho. Move up just a little bit to find M95, M96, about two-thirds of the way down, M105, and just move this line down just about halfway down toward Iota. You've got M65 and M66 galaxies there. So this is what we've got. We've got a good week. You can watch Jupiter closing on Uranus and say goodbye to Jupiter as it settles into the sun. And we're going to have to wait for it to pop around in the morning sky to see it again. So, you got another couple weeks maybe to be able to do that. So see Jupiter closing on Uranus, watch the moon near there, and then the moon near the Pleiades a night later, the 10th and the 11th. And then use the dark sky of a waxing moon, a young waxing moon, to find Cancer with open star clusters M44 and M67, and to find Leo and some beautiful galaxies in Leo if you've got a telescope to try to pop these things out. If I were going to pick one thing with a telescope, well, if you got the telescope, Zeta and Algeba, Zeta Cancri and Algeba in Leo are great binary stars to look at. They're wonderful systems to check out. But if you're going to look for a deep sky object with your telescope, if you have that, M65 and M66 are going to be the easiest ones to find as you just slide between these stars slowly. You can pop right on to M65 and M66, and that's what I recommend, and they're beautiful. It's worth checking them out. So that's what we got this week, everybody. As always, thanks for watching, and we hope you have some clear skies in the week ahead.